Welcome to Message from the Motherland. What's going on, world? Welcome back to another episode of Message from the Motherland. I'm your host, Ambassador Tim Ford Jr. of the African Union, AUCS. And today, guys, we're going to talk about my 5-year-old son actually coming to me and letting me know he know who his wife is. Now, when he initially made this statement to me, I was a little bit thrown off, honestly. I was like, hold on, like, how you know who your wife is? Like, how you... Come on, you know how children say crazy things sometimes and you have to just listen to them and like walk them through the process. But the fact that he said this, it was really like an eye-opening moment when he mentioned those words to me. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I remember when I was my son's age, around the same age, I went to my father one day and I asked him, I said, hey Dad, one day I wanna have me a baby mama. So, you know, at that time, my dad and my mother's relationship was that type of way. My mother was the baby mother and my dad was the baby father, of course, and I saw them in that dynamic for the majority of my life. So I thought that that was something that I should aspire to have, something that I should want to do for my life. But in that moment, my father let me know, he was like, son, you know, basically, you shouldn't want to aspire to have something like that. You should want to have a wife. You should want to have a family, because throughout his life, that's what he wanted to do as well. But the circumstances and some of the decisions that he made forced us to be in that particular position. But he made sure throughout my entire life to always let me know, like, hey, you don't want to end up in this situation. You don't want to move like this. You want to learn from my mistakes, and you want to do something differently and set you up a family properly. So I always had that at the forefront of my mind. And when he told me that on that day, I shifted my perspective and realized that, hey, I needed to focus on making me a family instead of getting a baby mama, because you know, we are here to break generational curses, and we are here to learn from the past generation anyway. So the fact that my father told me that, and now here we are, like almost 20-something years later, my son is coming to me and he's saying the exact opposite. So it let me know that, hey, I've made it to the point where I've broken some generational curses. The work is paying off. Things are differently. The perspective within my family's mindset has changed, and we are doing things differently. So that was a positive moment when he said that to me. But I must admit, there was a little bit of guilt that came with what he said because of the work that I have going on. And I'm going to tell you guys why. Yes, I'm breaking generational curses in that regard, and yes, I'm also breaking generational curses and helping my people come over to the continent of Africa. So by me doing this work and showing my content on YouTube and Instagram, and me being a beacon of light and trying to help people come to the continent of Africa, many people have likened my work to Marcus Garvey and what he's done in the past, and basically said that I'm taking on the mantle and doing what he was doing and taking it to the next level. So I'm always honored and humbled when I receive those type of comments and interaction with a lot of the people who are watching the work and watching the process of us doing what we do. So I want to give you guys a little bit of the backstory of why I feel guilty and what transpired for me to even have their perspective. So a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, I was looking online and I was reading stories and looking at videos about Marcus Garvey and learning more about the work that he was doing, because I must admit, I draw inspiration from him, and what he's done and what he's been able to do has inspired me on so many levels, like I can't even lie. So I'm always drawing from him anyway. So people saying that is an honor within itself. But I said that to say, I was watching a video of his son. His son mentioned in his video, he was like, hey, I don't ever really remember my father being happy. Like, my father was always working and upset and focused on the movement so much that he didn't even remember when his father was happy, when he played with him, or when he was in the moment and actually creating memories with him. And that's when I began to feel a little bit guilty, because when my son told me about who his wife was in the future, the next day he came to me and asked me, why was I working so much in my phone? So I was doing a video and I was really focused on trying to get a video out and really like into getting it done. And I spent the whole day really focused on getting it done. And my son asked me the next day, like, hey Dad, like, why was you doing the video all day? Like, we took them to playground, we let them play, but I was still not playing with them. I was focused on other things. So he asked me that, and I immediately thought about what Marcus Garvey's son said. Marcus Garvey's son was like, hey, I don't remember my dad playing. I remember him being upset. I remember him being in the movement and so focused on helping people and doing that he was upset and frustrated when it came to working with us. And when he said it, my son, when T3 said it, I was like, oh, wow. I'm really following in the footsteps and doing what he said and what he was doing. So it really changed my perspective a little bit. It really held me a little bit more accountable on what I was doing, and helped me to understand the next level of generational curses that I need to be breaking. Because I know when Marcus Garvey Jr., when his son was watching him deal with his people, deal with being publicly slandered, deal with being lied on, deal with being stolen from his own people, at that time, he didn't understand the weight of what his father was dealing with. But looking at history and looking at what Honorable Marcus Garvey was dealing with, he was dealing with so much internal sabotage that he had to put all of his energy on trying to make sure that he was fixing what was trying to be taken away from him. And on top of that, he was still fighting up against a governmental system and structure that was trying to hold him down. So fighting against all that, still had to be a father, still had to be present, and still had to be active in his children's life. So my son saying that to me, it helped me to reshift my focus and remember that there's another level of generational curses that we need to be breaking. There's another level of focus that we need to have when we're building our families, when we're working on staying over here on the continent of Africa long term. Now, it's one thing to come over here and enjoy the beauty of Africa and connect with your people, but it's another thing to heal your family, to strategically put your family in a better position and not be taken advantage of and not lose your opportunity because you didn't do the necessary work that you were supposed to do. So my son coming to me and telling me who his wife was an amazing accomplishment in my eyes, because my son has a different perspective. He knows that he needs a wife, but he turned around in the same week and asked me why was I working so hard, and showed me that I needed to put that same amount of energy into being with my children and being with my family that I do with helping my people and doing the work and, sometimes defending the work that we have done. I have to not put so much focus and energy into that. Yes, it's important, but family is as important, if not more. That's the most important factor of what we're doing and why we're doing this. So we can't lose sight of why we started these journeys, why we're doing this. We are doing this work for our families at the end of the day. Everyone wants to put their family in a better position. Everyone wants to make sure that we do things differently so that our bloodline won't suffer like we've been doing for these past 400 years. So let's continue to keep that at the forefront of our mind as we come over here to Africa, as we build our families. We could easily bring the Western mess if we don't heal our families properly so that we can fully take advantage. We could not be present and mess up our families and mess up our children and mess up our wives and husbands. And we could also not be doing things properly and we miss out on our opportunities because we're not focused on the right things. So let's make sure we focus on the right things. I like to use my story as examples and as ways to teach my people on how they can come over here successfully and stay here long term if that's what they want to do. So let's keep our families at the forefront. Let's make sure we focus on our children and not forget that they are here as well, learning from us, wanting to be with us, and drawing from us as we do the work that we do. It's one thing to show up on these YouTube streets, but it's another thing to be there in the real world and be present. So I enjoy being a father. I enjoy being present for my children, but I know I have to do it more. I have to make sure that I put the time in and be very strategic and making sure that I'm with my children and not so focused on fighting the world, making sure that I'm helping the world. Yes, people are going to get help. Yes, it's very important to do that type of work, but at the end of the day, you can't help nobody until you fully help within yourself, all right? So focus on our families first. Let's focus on healing our families and doing what we need to do to break those generational curses that's going on within our families. So as we end this podcast, as we continue to move on and press forward throughout the week, I want those out there to know and understand that this work that we're doing, these moves that we're making, the strides that we are attempting to make, We have to focus and make sure that we're doing it for the right reasons, and don't get sidetracked by the negativity and the BS. Focus on your families, focus on healing what we're supposed to do, and continue to show up and do the work that you're supposed to do, and it'll all pay off. At the end of the day, we all know what we're supposed to do, and we know how we're supposed to work. So just stay focused and do what you're supposed to do. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, please comment and let me know what you think about the podcast, what you think about the topic, what you think about my son actually saying he know who his wife is as a 5-year-old. Like, isn't that a step in the right direction? Let me know what you think about that. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can stay tuned to the content and continue to stay up to date with what we're doing over here on the continent. And you can see the different guests that we're going to bring on here to this podcast so that we can have the high level conversation with those who are doing the work over here on the continent of Africa. All right. And once again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And if you're watching this and if you're listening to this on Apple Music or Spotify, make sure you like it and give us some feedback as well so that we can know how you feel about the content too. All right. So thank you guys for staying tuned to the end. Y'all make sure y'all be safe out there and keep the shalom peace. All right. Shalom.